Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all for inviting for this particular event, and thank you, Kaushik, for making me part of this particular event for say, which is happening. And I think National Institute for Agriculture Extension Management is doing a great job in building agri-tech startups in a long way, and even Hyderabad Angels for last 1.5 year is actively looking at agri startups how to invest, because a lot of activities happening in this space. And I also met some of the Japanese funds, US funds, Indonesian funds which came to India, and they said is poised for agricultural innovation in this decade because the population is high, and definitely they need a different set of growth. That's why the focus has been more and more on agri-tech startups, and VCs are also seeing. Why agriculture has not been seen positively during last decade is people never understood how Indian farmers will react. I think some of you are in speaker. Can you put it on mute? Thank you. So India is poised. Last 1 decade, most of the VCs never understood how agriculture work. If you see the population growth
Sir, I've muted everyone, sir. Kindly request you to unmute yourself, sir. Mr. Ratnakar, sir.
yeah, thank you, thank you,
Yes,
thank
sir.
you, thank you. So recently, if you would have heard about Mr. Modi's speech in 2019 before election, they said for majority of the farmers who are holding less than 2 acres of farmland, he would like to pay 6,000 rupees per farmland as a reimbursement or a special incentive to the farmers. He said in India, 98% of the land bank or farmers are going to get benefited. So what we observed in this speech is the scatteredness of the land and the smaller the size of the land has been major constraint. And guys, we have seen companies which came with drones. The first question we asked, somebody came with drone. If two, three farmers are having one acre of land, how this drone is going to help them to reduce their production cost? How it is going to improve the efficiency? We have seen somebody came with robots to plug the weeds in the field. When I asked if it is a 1 or 2 acres of land, how do you see these farmers? So our startup founders has was little bit confused. Even when they went on ground in the village, you need to meet 10 farmers, make them convince, and some of them don't want that to pay. Some of them wanted to pay. They seen a difficulty in organizing all these farmers in one lot and do the activity on the given radar. This is where I seen a lot of difficulty in agri-tech, how things have gone and why startups were struggling. I think that is one thing which need to be addressed. But still, is there something happening in agri-tech? Yes. In last two to couple of years, there good amount of investment have happened. If you read the recent reports, more than $300 million has been poured into these agri startups and other things. So keeping this in mind, why I mentioned all this is I'm just setting the context how a angel or institutional VCs or funding networks are looking at agri-tech and where their confusion is, where we want agri-tech startups to address this particular point. So coming back to Hyderabad Angels, one of the things we believed as a philosophy, especially we remember APJ Abdul Kalam. Abdul Kalam said a door is much smaller compared to the lock, and lock is much smaller. Oh, sorry, a door is much smaller compared to the house, and lock is much smaller compared to the door. And the smallest of all is the key, but the key can open the entire house. Thus, a small, thoughtful solution can solve major problems. This is what we are looking. Every minute problem, which people are seeing as an opportunity to unlock, is what has been our interest. We are searching. And second thing, one of the key thing which we are asking most of the founders to build themselves is selling capacity. We have seen founders who have been having great innovation, great thought process, good problem solution, but when the selling comes onto the plate, people have failed. People have failed. I can tell you one example. In Hyderabad Central University, that one lady, through bacteria, she created artificial colors, which has a lot of protein and other values, and it reduces the color ingredients which goes into the food. The problem came to us is how to sell that particular produce. People are not aware of what need to be done, how need to be done, how the selling should happen. She is struggling or not, whether to do a package one, whether to go with 300 rupees, whether to go with 500 rupees. But on the other side, the food colors are coming at much cheaper cost. And the cost of producing this and cost of producing is different, packaging, branding. So we were asking, you did a great innovation, how do you sell? So this is what I am seeing one of the key negative from the people who are coming with innovative thought, can they sell? Today, most of the valuations in angel network or a VC network is the revenue game at the end of the day. And innovation with revenue game is what they are getting valued much more. If innovation is there, revenue is not there, people are not seeing very positive. I want founders to be aware and they need to have a very good sales technique, go to market strategy. Second thing at Hyderabad Angels, what are the key things we look at? We look at a 5 point formula. Solving a real problem. As I explained, people are coming with very good problems. For the given problem, what you solve, do you have a large customer base? We have seen certain startups, they solved a very good problem, but that problem solution has only very small set of customers who can benefit, not a large customer base. It is not appealing to 100 crores population. It is appealing only to a 1 crore population. Then people are little bit wary. They say this is a niche market. The potential for revenue is not even 100 crores. How do you value this startup? This is another question most of the VC networks are asking. Why I'm mentioning is at least startups will think what is that they are trying to bring and how they are going about. That's why our philosophy is whether they have a large customer base. The third thing is perennial. What is perennial? This is one important quote I'm speaking in many places. If you look into coffee day, the first and foremost thing we came is, okay, I go to coffee day, I'll have a coffee. And beyond coffee, what is that I need to do? So they came with snacks. Then beyond snacks, what they need to do? They came with morning breakfast, afternoon lunch, evening snacks, and also on dinner they provided certain light snacks, making it organic. So what really happening is initially by selling coffees, they would have made a 1,000 rupees revenue. By selling lot of other offerings as they go about, the same shop is creating 10,000 rupees revenue because after certain scale, people need to bring more offerings into the platform. For example, you should have seen Oyo, you should have seen Ola, which has been our homegrown. Initially, they started as cab aggregators. They also got into the food delivery arm. They also got into insurance. They also got into a lot of other things which they are doing. Whether in the given core field, do you have an opportunity to grow in a different scale to increase the revenue potential? That is what we look at into the startup. We want the founder to have this vision. If founder is not having this vision, we are always thinks 10 times what that really is looking. Is it looking only a small thing? I'll tell you an example again. Why I'm quoting so many examples so that you will catch up. Recently, I will not quote the company name or founder. The founder came and said, sir, we have 3,500 orders. We need 2 crores of capital. With this, our turnover will go from 10 lakhs to 1 crore. We asked one question, as you got 3,500 orders, we are very happy. How many more orders is going to come on hand? What is your idea? Where do you want it to go from here to there? He only said, currently my concern is only 3,500 orders, sir, beyond which I think automatically things will come. So do you want to invest in the startup? Though he has a great product, people acceptance is there, they're willing to give letter of intent and purchase order for 3,000. But the issue is with the founder, he's only looking at current problem, he's not looking at the futuristic issue, and finally where I need to stand because I am a person who is looking for valuation of the company. I'm a person, I am looking to it, what is that I can do beyond my capital. So both the things he is not addressing to me. We were not able to appeal. We are trying to understand founder, see that he changes his vision and comes into the right toe so that I can take it to the next level. This is what I'm saying, where things are missing for us. And foremost thing is the technology. Why technology is important? Today, people sitting in Bangalore, can they operate entire globe? That is what the technology is doing today. People sitting in Hyderabad, can they operate to Kashmir to Kanyakumari with the lean staff, where there are no leakages? I think technology is helping a lot. Maybe the app is coming or mobile phone penetration has gone up. So technology is very, very key. And in that, most of the startups has the possibility of building artificial intelligence and machine learning. We want a machine to learn the transactions, what is happening on your platform, create an artificial intelligence, and drive customer and founder to increase the revenue potential. So we want machine learning and artificial intelligence to go hand in hand. This is what one of the things which we are asking. I'll give you one more example here. We have seen many founders investing in a Python software is expensive.
Sir,
They went
sorry
and
to interrupt you, sir. Can you make it full screen, sir? PPT.
full screen. 1 minute. Yeah, sorry. Now you can see it, right? Yeah, thank you. So this is one of the founder. They came and said they created the technology on open source or something on Java. The next question came from a large VC who wanted to invest a $3 million to $5 million. They said if your number of transactions are going from 1,000 orders per day to 1 lakh orders per day, do the technology has capability to handle? Does it have analytical tools to create right kind of mix? I think most of the founders are not able to address this point. So technically, from as in Hyderabad Angels, we invested in certain startups where they build the technology at a very low cost with a very low platform. But the question came on the scalability. Even if you're doing a great sale, the scalability has took an enormous hit, and they were asking how do you scale and how your technology is going to improve. Because again, changing the technology per se and bringing customers onto the floor, upgrading it, he will lose the market share because people are copycatting each of the technology. They're coming with a similar thing into the market. Not everybody is able to sustain that similarity which is coming into the market. So technology is very should be a clear agenda, and I want startups to relook into this strategy and see with the lean staff how you can manage a lakh transactions onto your platform. And finally, we look at first mover advantage. I think it has only very few in lakhs who has that, but we always look as a first mover advantage is there. We would like to invest. I hope guys are given high level update about our experiences, what really happened on the startup ecosystem, and how things have gone about. I kept question and answer at the end because I just wanted to keep the flow in. Uh, when we started 2020 in Jan, we never imagined COVID will be there and we'll get into lockdown. And today, where do we stand? We are not aware. But at that time, or currently also, we are seeing agri-tech startups set to bloom on huge investments. We are seeing good amount of investments are coming in that space. People started believing in agriculture and that are started investing. Why people are seeing agri-tech? See, one of the key thing they've seen is in India, mobile penetration is more than 100%. Internet penetration is more than 80%. And farmers and the latest engagement, they are willing to adopt to the technology and see that their farm produce is increasing and efficiency is going up. We are seeing this is happening. So increased smartphone penetration in rural setup is aiding technology adoption among farmers who are seeking to minimize their cost while trying to maximize their return. I think this is the key point we are saying this decade agri-techs. is going to rock, and one of the agri-tech company is going to become a unicorn. We are very sure it is going to happen. So we have seen tier one VCs like Sequoia, Axel, Matrix. They all started specific funds on agri-tech, and they would like to invest. This is a very, very positive news, guys. You need to adopt. What are the few key deals happened in 2019 and where it has happened? Just to give you a high level update, what kind of investments are done. Samunati is financing agri value chain. They raised a $55 million fundraise. AgroStar, digital app connecting farmers with input makers. There are many startups which came in this space. Only few of them were able to succeed. AgroStar is one of them. I want you to watch out. If somebody has already got into this space, still there is another 40, 50 crores of agriculture people are there. Still we have an opportunity, but the race has already been begun. Fresh to home, supply chain for perishables. I think Big Basket has been very well placed. They all said Big Basket has one of the best supply chain management. But even Fresh to Home is one of the things which were able to raise $31 million fundraise. Then Ashish Life Sciences Private Limited, veterinary pharmaceutical. They are looking at animal husbandry side. Ninja Cart, most of them know they are fresh produce supply chain, and even Amazon would like to invest. They got an investment of $99 million. This is one of the biggest investment in India, and they created a big niche for themselves. Country Delight, fresh milk startup, EcoZone solution, farm to fork value chain, Agriness technology, Agri Analytics, Aqua Connect, artificial intelligence platform for aquaculture. I think this is picking up. You can see the kind of investors who invested into these startups. They're all first time who are coming in into this space. I think today we have one of the speakers from Omnivore. Omnivore from day one is more focused on agri area, and they're doing a lot of good jobs in this space actually. These are important thing. Observe where the money is going on from the agriculture. And Mark Khan, founding partner of Omnivore, also said, "We believe agriculture sector is transforming at much faster rate than anybody wants to believe." And we started looking at how we can take platform technologies like big data, IoT, sensors, and apply that to agriculture so that things can change in favor of farmer. I think IoT, big data, sensors are making a big change. Most of them would have heard from Hyderabad called Urban Kisan, though Hyderabad Angels have not invested. They were in hydroponics. Again, they're using IoT and sensors. They started changing the marketplace. It is also growing, which we have seen they are growing big actually. The goal of these agri-tech startups are largely threefold: making farmers more profitable, sustainable and stable return, which then reduces the risk of lower participation in agriculture spaces. So this is the key thing which they are looking at agri startup. And one of the positive point I can say is recent changes in the act by government of India. Modi government has done two things in changing agri market, opening of agri market ecosystem in India, attract capital and technology to this sectors. I don't know. Farmers are seeing negative. Yesterday also, farmers have been walking to Delhi, but the ground reality still need to change. But from the startup ecosystem, enactments has given a large push for agriculture startups in India, and especially the world VCs or angel investors are looking at India because of this change. So, what are the three ordinances they passed? The Farmer Producer Trade and Commerce Promotion and Facilitation Ordinance Act 2020. Why they brought is to end the monopoly of agriculture produce market companies and allow anyone to purchase and sell agriculture produce. I think this is where the supply chain startups in agriculture is going to benefit more. One of them is Ninja Cart, who is doing that activity, and many more startups are there which are trying to do this. And for them, it is benefited. Instead of depending on local agri produce market committees, they can go to farmers and procure it. I seen MTR PepsiCo, and few of them which they were doing contract farming, they're seeing this as a positive ordinance for them. Second thing that is amended the Essential Commodity Act to remove the existing restriction on stocking of food produce. This is one of the key amendment. Again, on warehousing side, we are seeing there will be good traction because of this amendment in Essential Commodity Act. We are seeing few companies in warehousing management, warehousing technology, warehousing financing. I think they are going to get benefited because of this. And third is the Farmer Empowerment and Protection Agreement on Price Assurance and Farm Services Ordinance Act 2020. They have enacted legal framework for agreement between farmers and buyers, including processors, wholesalers, and large retailers. I see companies and startups which are dealing with farmers entering into agreement in terms of procuring the raw material. They need to look at the act. There are certain guidelines they have given. And if your technology can adopt and they can approve it online, I think it is going to be very, very useful. And this is more legal in nature. So people will not come and push you out from this particular area. What are the key areas in agriculture which are seen as a positive momentum in the current context? I hope I'm going fast. I'll stop for 2 minutes just for all of you to have a think what I've spoken about government recent enactment. Yeah. In agriculture, these are the spaces here. Digital commerce platforms, I think they are growing well. This is direct farmer to consumer. Insurance, I think a lot of penetration need to be done. And how do you sell and grow this life? So that's where people are looking at. And they said it is a 16 billion market. Logistics, people started looking food processing units, warehousing and co assaying and grading, credit and financial institutions. I think all these guys are seeing some disruption in this space to reach out to Indian farmers and consumers, and there is a big market here. I think startups are working in these areas to grow much faster, and most of the large companies in this space would like to invest. There is a possibility of corporate connections. What are the list of startups in agri-tech to be watched out? What are the startups which got invested? Farm to fork theme. I think this is one of the key theme many of the investors are looking and investing. What is the farm to fork theme? Which connect farmers to consumers, eliminating middlemen, attracted investor interest in 2018, like Ninja Cat and Jumbo Tail. Second thing, farm to fork linkages model expected to continue to attract major investment in year to come. I think still there is a lot of scope. Second is factory to farm, which help farmers access agri inputs directly from producers, which will be of interest in years ahead. Sorry, all the agri related supply chain which goes to the farmers is another set of startups they're getting interested. And there are also teams which are using data to build predictive models in areas of price forecasting, pest attack and yield elimination is also a good possibility which they are trying to. I think in pest attack and yield elimination, we are seeing drones coming in. We are requesting government to come with a policy so that there can be a lot more penetration in this area. What are the other areas where investment in agri-tech startups are going to be seen? Farmer platforms, precision agriculture, agri-biotech, post-harvest technologies will be of high on interest radars in year ahead. Innovation and Food Agriculture Fund that aim to invest in climate smart agriculture and food chain innovation. I think the climatic startups, we have seen few of them in ECRISAT, which are coming in climatic area and how they are going to get paid. The only issue which came when we are discussing with this startups is farmers are ready to pay a subscription model and for them to take a predictive decision making this thing. I think that's where a lot of I think in agriculture institutes like Agri Institute, all these guys should help farmers to get more educated in this area. They don't have the sufficient education. So media is doing a lot of things not reaching at the grassroots level. That need to be happen. If that happens, these startups are going to get benefited. So when the COVID came, there were discussion what really happens. I think agritech is one of the fastest moving startup. They say agritech will pick up and people will invest. Is gaining its height. This is what we presented during COVID period in the month of May. Just I've shown you, and in 8 months period, agritech is gaining is important. What you do today, not tomorrow. Robert Kiyosaki, which he always believed. It is the startup founders is what they think and what they create for today, for tomorrow, not for today. Startup is visions, concept and idea, choosing the right business, right team, designing your website, and your idea to be pitched to us. Very look at them. Very important thing when the founder by the Indian specific. These are the few. I'm open for question and answers. If anybody has any specific question in this area, I can give my experiences. I hope I have spoken enough.
Sir, can we keep the Q&A in the last, sir? Sir, am I audible? Hello.
Hello. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Can we keep the Q&A in the last, sir? Like half an hour?
Okay, no problem. No problem. We can go ahead.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. So
Thank you,
we shall go for
Kaushik. This
the.
is what I hope I given a high level update. Guys, we can have question and answer at the end.
Yes, sir. That was a your insights are like very useful for the
Happening on the
audience.
ground.
Thank you, sir. And we shall go
Thank
on
you.
to the next speaker,
Yeah.
Mr. Abhilash Setu, agriculture technology enthusiast and early stage investor. Before that, I just want to check if Mr. Abhilash Sethi is available. Just a minute, sir.
Yeah.
Abhilash Sethi, am I audible to you?
Hi, yes, yes, you are.
Yeah, thank you, thank you. So, back to the profile. So, Mr. Abhilash Sethi, agriculture technology enthusiast and early stage investor. Currently, Mr. Abhilash Sethi holds the position of principal at Omnivore Capital Management Advisors Private Limited, board observer at Erwaka Technologies and Tata and Sons, investment director at Krishi Tantra and Fossil. Mr. Abhilash joined Omnivore in 2019 and is based out of Bangalore. In addition to his investment responsibilities, Mr. Abhilash oversees deal pipeline tracking for Omnivore. Previously, Mr. Abhilash was a founding member of Mahindra's precision farming team. At Mahindra, he mapped the global landscape of precision agriculture technologies and developed partnerships with multiple agri-tech startups. Prior to the role, Mr. Abhilash worked in Mahindra's heavy commercial vehicle business, managing sales and channel networks in Delhi and Mumbai. Mr. Abhilash has begun his career as an operation engineer at Indian Oil, also earned a BTech in mechanical engineering from NIT Warangal and an MBA from IIM Bangalore. I request Mr. Abhilash Siri to start the session. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for uh, and thank you for inviting me to this wonderful session. Um, I think Ratnakar had covered a lot of things that we used to tell in our sessions everywhere. I unfortunately don't have any presentation, but most of the things were covered. I'll talk more from my personal experience and what I Omnivore we have been trying to do, and we'll try to give you guys a little flavor of how Indian agriculture as a sector has been moving and how it has improved over the last decade or so. So, right after independence, Indian agriculture was very much dominated by the money lenders. There were small landholders, um, uh, either farmers who were working on the farms but not owning the farms, and money lenders used to own it. Then there was the split happened, and 1960s was the time when the government felt for the first time that we need to make markets where the smaller landholders can also come and start selling their produce, and that is where the concept of market came in. 1970s was when, and in the first 5 years plan, might be knowing, irrigation came in. That was the first major technology innovation that has happened in agriculture to sort of uh, get away with the rainfall dependent crop, although majority of Indian crops are still rainfall dependent, but a large amount of dam water started reaching out through canals and stuff. 1960s was the time when mechanization started happening. A bunch of the tractor manufacturers like Mahindra and everyone else, they started coming in and brought tractors into the market in a big way. 1970s was the time when the first supply chain mismatch happened in India. And these are the times when typically revolution happens. India went through a serious famine situation. Green revolution came in. There's the whole Malthusian population theory, right? So population started increasing, food production was low. Then green revolution happened, that flipped, food production increased, and then the whole late 1970s and 1980s was the time when farmers in India, they earned a good amount of money for them. There was supply demand matching that had happened. Our go downs were started stocking up, so everything was good there. Post 1990 is something where significant changes happened in Indian economy, and that is where I personally feel that we started falling behind the other developed economies of the world in terms of how we need to focus on. Uh, 1990, some people say it's a great event for us. Uh, some people might feel that we had to open our economy up before we were ready. And when you see any economy when it grows, the first fundamental of the economy is always the primary sectors, which are the sectors which derive product right from the nature, like agriculture, mining, marine, and so on and so forth. Then there is secondary industries which take the products of the primary industries and convert that into some value-added products, mostly manufacturing. And then there are tertiary industries which are services sector, like transportation, IT, and so on and so forth. It makes life more comfortable. Uh, Till 1990, we were majorly a primary and a secondary industry focused nation. Agriculture is still very high, but then the focus was there. Post 1990, India suddenly got into the whole tertiary sector boom, the IT boom, as we call it. And with lots of foreign capital flowing into the company, foreign companies coming into India, and few major things started happening. First is people started becoming richer. And when they started becoming richer, they started moving to cities. So our production center and the consumption center, they started moving away from each other. And mid 1990s is when people, the middle class started getting formed in India as a bigger segment. They started demanding food which is different from what India was conventionally eating. They started demanding horticulture crops, fruits, vegetables. They started demanding milk, poultry, and so on and so forth. And when you see, that was the time till, I would say, the fag end of the first decade of this millennium, 2000 to 2010, is when our policies were not really focused on the changes that was happening in India at that point in time. Um, 95 onwards, horticulture demand started increasing, although there was not much focus on increase on developing the logistics in rural India, or coming up with cold storages, coming up with cold logistics, and so on and so forth. Um, and this is across sector. All our research, if you see at that point in time, was still happening, and it is still very much predominant in increasing the productivity of paddy and wheat in India and all the major conventional crops, so to say. Uh, that went on till I would say 2008, 2009, when the government started realizing that okay, there was something that we missed, and we need to change our thought process. And all the major revolutions that you'd see started from 2003 onwards with APMC Act, but the major impetus started coming in from 2008. Uh, and if you see all the farmers' distress that we read, that started happening post the 1995 era, I would say, when this mismatch or the change in economy was really not adopted by the policymakers and also
Mr. Ablash, you can turn off your video if you have any kind of network issues. Thank you.
yeah. No, sorry. I actually I'm in my hometown right now. Here, the network is a little iffy, so I'm on my phone's hotspot connection, and it becomes jittery sometimes. But apologies for that. Coming back, so 2008 was the time when a lot of policy push and investors also started focusing into this sector. India by that time has become a tertiary sector, kind of a global power. The 1980s, 1970s batch of engineers, they have moved out, started companies, and that money was flowing into India. And the story of all the IT giants of India had happened before that. So India was becoming a tertiary superpower. 50-60% of our GDP was coming from the tertiary sector at that point in time. And slowly people realized that the primary sector, which was supposed to be the fundamental of this economy, along with the secondary sector, had taken a backseat post 1990. And it was time to revive those industries. And that was also the time when Omnivore also formed. It was 2008 when Mark started thinking about this, and 2010 Omnivore was formed. And the whole idea was to bring in private capital into this industry. And if you see, 1960s, 1970s US, all the major innovations had happened during the Cold War, and that had happened because of the venture capital mode of investment. With Georges Doriot, when he was in Harvard, he pulled in some rich individuals in the US, got some capital, took a bunch of endowment fund from Harvard and other universities, and started investing in company, which is a very high risk capital, but also was promoting innovation at the ground level. At that time, it was the fight between the US and Russia, which has instigated very quick innovation in the US. In India, we felt that we need to strengthen our primary industry very quickly, and for that, we need to bring in private capital into the sector. Before that, there were a few PE funds who were investing, and a few VC funds as well, like Aviskar and so on and so forth. So we were the first agri-tech focused investment fund, conceptualized back in 2008, 2009, and we were formed in September of 2010. So Mark Engineer started this fund. We raised our first fund in 2011, which was a 260 crores fund. And now we are investing from our fund too, and overall we have 1,000 crores of asset under management. And been in this industry for 10 years, have invested in around 24 odd startups. So we have seen this, the time when policy, both in terms of fiscal as well as monetary and private investments, started coming into agriculture. We have been there and seen it throughout. um, the way we sort of see the problem of Indian agriculture, as I said, so all the revolution happens when there is a supply-demand mismatch. Whenever it happens, as the basic tenet of economics, that is when people start thinking that how can we improve our systems. 1970s was when our supply became low, and now the past decade saw that our supply became so much because of green revolution, because of the amazing work that our farmers do, because of the amazing research that has happened in India through ICAR and the other organizations, that our supply has increased tremendously. All our godowns, keeping all the non-perishable crops, are overflowing with food. But then we realized that are we providing our farmers proper markets to sell their produce? And that was the idea with which APMC was formed. But again, it also got into its own quagmire slowly with cartelization and so on and so forth. So uh, if you see, we believe that in India we have a problem of plenty. As I said, our farmers grow enough crops to enough food to make India among the top three producers of almost everything in the world. But we do a disservice to our farmers by not allowing them to take their produce to markets where they can earn better revenues for what they're producing. And that is where we thought of defining the problem of Indian agriculture, and we define it in three broad segments. The first is uh, the problem of market linkage. That is the first problem that has to be solved. And as Ratnakar was also mentioning in his presentation, that a lot of funding has happened in India in the market linkage companies, the farm to fork, as we say, post harvest, whatever you name it. Right? Once the produce is once the crop is produced, where do we need to take and sell it? And and that's one of the reasons why whenever startups come to us and tell that we want to increase the productivity of the farms, it's a huge turnoff for us. We know that we don't need to increase the productivity right now. At some time in the future, definitely yes, but not right now. What we need to do now is to come with platforms where farmers can sell their produce, companies who can focus on exports like INI farms and so on and so forth. India as a big agri nation, we export 30 to 40 billion dollars of agri produce, whereas Netherlands, as small a country as it is, exports 80 billion dollars of agri produce. So that's the kind of mismatch that we're talking about here, and that's a huge scope of improving our exports and thereby also providing a market linkage to our farmers. So that's the first problem that we have identified. And the outcome of solving that problem would be the farmers will earn better revenues for what they're producing. And using that money, then they can do discretionary spending on technologies. Journalists come to us, people who are, or maybe people who are not too engrossed into agriculture, asking us, do you ever see Indian farmers using technology on their farms? And our answer is absolutely yes. When they have more money in their hands, at the end of the day, the farmers are normal consumers like us. They are driven through capitalist motives. The whole aim of the farmer is also to find comfort in his or her life. Uh, Sorry, am I audible?
Yes, sir, you're audible, sir.
Okay, perfect. Um, so farmers also look for comfort, and we say that once they have more money, they will go for technologies which give them more comfort, right, at their homes and also on their farms. And that is what we have seen in certain sectors of agriculture. If you look at, if I broadly break down agriculture into farming, aquaculture, sericulture, and so on and so forth, and if I break farming into perishable crops or horticulture crops and non-horticulture crops, all the non-horticulture or conventional crops or the non-cash crops are sectors where we have not seen technology adoption, and rightly so, because those farmers are still reeling under the pressure of finding a proper market for selling their produce. They depend on APMCs, they depend on uh, the middlemen a lot. And for example, a potato farmer in Sadabad, when he grows his potato, is not sure whether he's going to sell his potato at 18 rupees a kilo or 3 rupees a kilo. So that's the kind of information asymmetry that the person has. He has no idea how much of potato has been grown and so on and so forth. Whereas in horticulture crops, uh, even though there are price fluctuations because of market dynamics, but still the farmer to a larger extent knows that there is a buyer who is going to buy the produce from him or her, and there is a market available where he can recover the cost of growing that crop. Time and again, it happens because of certain international dynamics. Grape prices in India also fluctuate, but overall the trend is like that. Now, when we see these kind of farmers or segments where the market linkage is problem is solved, for example, horticulture, as I said, aquaculture to a large extent, sericulture as well, there we see that farmers have started adopting technologies onto their farms. A lot of this push has happened after the geo revolution in India, but it is happening now in a much faster way than what we had envisioned back in 2014 and 15, um, when I personally moved into this sector. Um, if I say grape farmers in Nashik, if I say pomegranate farmers, if I say vegetable farmers in Chhattisgarh, they're all adopting technologies right now. One of our portfolio companies called Fasal, they sell farm sensors, and then based on the information that is captured, they provide certain preventive and predictive advisory for the farmers to take actions, and they are getting a huge demand and traction in areas where horticulture crops are grown. Similarly, one of our companies called Agri, which makes IoT solutions, technology solutions for aquaculture farmers, which are deployed on the ponds. They have initially started in India back in 2014, did not get any traction here because aquaculture as an industry was pretty nascent at that point in time. So they moved to South America, got a bunch of traction there, came back to India again a couple of years back and relaunched their product, and they're getting humongous demand in India for those kind of technology. Similarly, in sericulture, we are going to make an investment. All those farmers have been doing conventional farming for ages, but now they are also adopting technologies to benefit themselves. So, as I said, the first problem was the problem of market linkage. Once that is sorted, farmers are adopting technologies with the major aim. Uh, there are two things. One, the first aim is to reduce the cost of cultivation, or I can say optimize the cost of cultivation. And the second is to also safeguard their produce. So, with both these things, ultimately what we see is that the profitability of the farmers is increasing. So, with the solution of the first problem of market linkage, we see that the revenues of the farmers is increasing. And with the second problem statement, when it is solved, we are seeing the profitability of the farmer is increasing. And when these two problems are solved to a large extent, we believe that the farmers are in a situation where the profitability for them overall will increase significantly, and that is what we are seeing in some of the horticulture farmers who are using technology solutions on their farm and also using some kind of a platform to sell their produce. We have actually seen farmers increasing their profitability by almost two and a half x. Um, which is incredible. And there are companies out there now who are taking the products of the farmers uh, either to better consumers inside the country or export it to outside the country. There's a huge demand of Indian onion in Middle East that is coming up, Indian fruits in Europe once we sort of have all these gap standards and stuff. And many food processing units are also coming up, which is a huge push by the government since the start of this decade. And we are seeing that they are also coming up, changing the raw produce into something which can be stored for a long time, and converted it to some CPG products or B2B products and selling. So all these things are in the right direction to solve the first two problems of Indian agriculture. And I really liked what Ratnakar also mentioned, that in the times to come, we will see investment in biotechnology companies. And the way we at Omniverse see biotechnology companies is one, definitely is to increase the virility of the crop, to make them, prevent the diseases by doing all the genetic modifications. But also, the larger aim of biotechnology, what we believe, is to ultimately increase the productivity of the farms. And as I said earlier, in India, we have a problem of plenty. We don't need to increase the productivity of the farms right now for many of our crops, but we need to solve the first couple of problems. But once those problems are solved, once we have proper market linkage, all the international relations are developed where we have a large market for our produce to be sold, that is when we need to increase the productivity of our farms. And we have a massive difference in terms of the optimum productivity outside the world and the kind of productivity that we have right now. And once we bridge that gap, um, we at Omnivore believe that India has all the necessary ingredients and all the potential to become the breadbasket of not just Asia but also of the world. 160 million hectares of land with a cropping intensity of 1.5 is not a joke at all. We waste that much amount of potato, which is enough to feed the entire Eastern Europe. we can just give it away free of cost rather than wasting it on our logistics, right? So that's the amount of production potential that this country has, and that is where we believe, and as Ratnakar also mentioned, that that Indian agriculture is at the cusp of a revolution. The initial seeds have been sown in this decade, and the next 7 to 10 years, with the kind of capital that is flowing in and the kind of entrepreneurs who are coming into this sector, with such kind of events that are happening, in Manage and you guys, the kind of efforts that you guys are taking right at the concept level, uh, you know, uh, when you guys come up, and the next 10 to 15 years, when all of you guys will be in a influential position, we believe that the agriculture story of India will be very, very different. And this is going to be an agri powerhouse. Um, so, uh, so that's basically what I wanted to say, how Indian agriculture has evolved, where we had missed certain things that we should have done earlier, but it's not too late at all. We have identified the three problems of agriculture, trying to solve it one by one. We have invested in a bunch of companies trying to solve the first problem of agriculture, the market linkage. We have made a bunch of investment in precision farming companies as well. Um, we are planning to do a bunch of investment in the biotechnology companies going forward. Agri financing is a big sector. Our farmers still take loans from the money lenders at exorbitant rate of interest, which have to be reduced to reduce their overall cost of cultivation as well. A lot of good efforts are happening on that front as well. So overall, we believe that the overall ecosystem is get moving in the right direction to make those stuff happen. Um, and overall, when we see that there is a larger aim for this country to become not just agri-sufficient, but as an agri-exporter for the world, and then we can have better stance at all these the economic forums like RCEP and stuff. We believe that sustainability is also going to play a very critical role. The way world is moving, I think growth has to be in a sustainable manner, and we as a fund are very much conscious about that. We are an impact fund. All our investments have a few uh, basic theses that we adhere to. One is helping the small landholder farmers benefit by increasing their productivity, providing them peace of mind, and removing any kind of anxiety that they have in their whole processes. And that is where we make investments in agri insurance and so on and so forth as well. And the second uh, uh, base thesis is also to bring in sustainability across the food value chain of the food systems. And when I say food systems, it is right from the time the food is consumed, is produced, till the time the food is consumed. So we are seeing a bunch of efforts happening in sustainable protein production, people moving to seafood with having lesser FCR, people moving to insect-based food outside of India, not yet in India right now, so much with again having very less FCR, or people moving to more plant-based food, thereby reducing the whole stress on the farmlands to grow crops to feed the animals with having larger FCR. So those are the kind of development that are happening. We are seeing that people, the consumers are asking for um, food which is grown more closer to them. As I said, the age-old practice that was there when I was a kid, the production center and the consumption center was so close to each other that people used to know that how much is this particular small production center is going to consume, and that is how the farmers around that area used to grow. But because of this 1990 change that has happened, they got huge production centers got created in terms of the tier one, tier two cities, and the consumption centers were created and the production centers got far away from there. But now we are again seeing a reversal happening, which Ratnakar also mentioned, a company called Urban Kisan. There's similar kind of companies in Bangalore and Bombay as well coming up, who essentially are trying to bring in the perishable produce as close to the city as possible. And we believe that there is going to be a situation where all the non-perishables and the geography-specific crops will be grown in the rural hinterlands, and majority of the perishables, the vegetables, will be grown in polyhouses around the production centers, thereby reducing the requirement of um, perishable focused logistics and making it more efficient. So a lot of small changes happening both from the supply side, and a lot of changes are also happening from the consumer side. People asking for traceability, sustainably grown products and harvested products. Uh, so yeah, that is all from my side. We believe that as Ratnakar was also mentioning, that this industry is up for a revolution, and we all have a huge role to play in there, and we are very excited about it. So I think I've consumed my half an hour. I hope I was not too boring. Open to questions.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Ablash, for sharing your knowledge and experiences. These advices will inspire the startup enthusiasts as India is geared up for $500 million of investment in the coming years. A lot of things to happen in the agri space, especially. The session is open for Q&A. I would request the audience to have their questions in the chat box or either on the mute. Mic. Thank you.
Uh, Very good afternoon to you all. Can I ask a question?
Yeah,
Yes.
go ahead, please.
Yeah, my name is Shavari. I'm doing a farm to home. Hello, is it clear? Hello, hello. Am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible. Kindly request others to unmute themselves while the session is open for questions.
Yeah. Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. My question is, I am doing a farm to home concept model farming. I have tie up with a few group of farmers. They are close to Hyderabad city. So we are doing organic pesticide free this thing a startup. Is it my question is to Mr. Ratnaka sir? So is it suggestible to investable project or not? Our project is doing pesticide free organic produce. Is it suggestible for investment or not? Is it investable project?
Thank you, Shari, for the question to me. Yes, it is investable project, and what we look is how are you disrupting your supply chain using your technology? That is the key strength. And today, Shari, you are able to do it in Hyderabad. Can you do it in Vijayawada? Can you do it in Vizag? Can you do it in Tirupati? Can you do it in Bangalore? And how quicker and faster you can do it is very. And
Okay,
some of the startups have failed in this area because they're unable to showcase that supply chain capability to us. Yeah.
okay, 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 sir. Thank you.
My question is to Ratnaka sir. Sir, I'm inquiring, are there any companies who bring farmers? I mean, they are bridging the gap between commodity and farmers through FPOs or rather through some intermediary uh, stakeholders.
I missed something in between, Saurabh. The question is
Uh,
on
Sir, I was asking, are there any companies who are actually farmers and commodity exchange together? I mean, closer to one another through some FPOs or rather some other intermediary stakeholders.
see, Saurabh, ITC each of all a project which has been started a decade back. They had certain struggles which they try to bring that commodity exchange and other things. Still, there is a possibility of disruption. We are looking for startups in this area. Maybe Omnivore Abhilash has anything to say, I can request him actually.
Sorry, I was
Abhilash.
not able to get the question. Can you repeat it again?
So
Hello,
Abhilash is
sir. My question
asking,
is,
Yeah, Saurabh.
about farmer producer commodity exchange. Is there anything we have seen in that space, especially any startup in that space?
Many people are trying right now as agri commodity exchange, the whole crop selling that is happening less than 1%. So I'm just hearing my echo here. Okay, fine. Is less than 1% of the total agri trade, mostly happening in soy and mustard. A lot of issues here, it can happen in some of the larger volume crops. Rice and paddy are not allowed because these are essential commodities, but the other crops, the volume is so small that the speculation potential is very high in those crops. And we have seen cases in the past 10, 15 years where because of speculation, the prices of certain commodities like gore and all have increased to such huge extent that it becomes unmanageable for corporates after that. So, as Ratnakar rightly said, ITC is trying to build something. They have been converting their warehouses in the e-choppas. They're taking all the permission that is needed for converting those warehouses into a exchange warehouse. They have this particular WDA or something regulation that is needed for that. But we believe that it is going to come in some way. It needs a lot of digital integration into the warehousing operations as such, where we are
Sir,
seeing a bunch of companies.
sir, I would like to add some context to it because, sir, actually working on machine vision for in-farm applications. So currently, I've
Okay.
started with digital image processing, the first way to go, and then I'm thinking of integrating hyperspectral imaging, other parameters. So, sir, the basic concept is that I am trying to find a market for it, as in, because these grading applications need to be made as free as possible, as low cost as possible. So the money should come from somewhere else. So what I'm trying to do over here, since I found out that not many FPOs and not many companies are there actually making farmers close to commodity exchange, the major issue being the grading process, because they are not able to maintain the first of all the quantity, and second is the quality consistency for registering as a company on the exchange.
Yeah.
So that is what my context was. So that's really like finding the major issues in these domains would help me to figure out some business plan.
No,
So
absolutely.
Saurabh, in Ankur Capital portfolio, there is one company called Agri-CX. You can see that exactly they are doing the thing which you are looking at, and they have good experience. They did the same thing through image processing. They wanted to grade the commodities what is coming from agri. I think they can give you good insights what they are doing actually.
There are a few
Okay.
companies out there. So Agrix is there, Intello Labs, Agnex, and Nebula. 3, 4 companies out there were doing it. I don't think anyone is doing on farm. If you said what you were doing, on farm image processing to come up with quality estimation of a particular acre of land or a particular plot of land has a lot of merit to it. Nobody is doing that yet. If you're able to do that, it will not just be benefiting in the post harvest supply chain in terms of quality assaying, but it will also help the uh, horticulture farmers specifically a lot, and farmers who are into exports a lot, in terms of doing the recce of the farms and so on and so forth. So if you're doing that, I think there is a market out there, and you can reach out to me separately and we can have a discussion.
Okay, sir. Sure, sir. Thank you.
So, good afternoon, Abhilash and Ratnakar sir. Nuraj here.
Yeah, please go on.
Sir, so I think there is echo is coming, sir.
I think it's good to go, sir, right now.
Yeah, now it is
Sir,
fine. Please go ahead.
sir, I'm a manager with Manage Incubation Center, sir. See, we regularly get questions from startups So regarding the funding, how to approach them, the major question what they are looking for. So does Omnivore sees will there should be any angel kind of investment before putting money, sir?
Uh, it's a case to case basis. It's not a mandate. We have come into company where we are the first institutional check. Uh, it all depends on the kind of comfort we develop in taking a risk. So let me very quickly tell you four things that we look at in companies for making our investments. We call it as our four T's internally. The first T is the team. Uh, uh, it depends on the kind of experience that the people have, the motivation and the drive that the people and the team have. So that basically comprises of the team. Second is technology, which is a proxy of what is the problem that the team is trying to solve and using what technology. Um, and we tend to see whether there is any differentiation in the technology, or is it a me too technology? How easy is it to replicate it or copy it, and so on and so forth. The third is the TAM, which is a very important criteria for a VC like us, considering we tend to see what kind of a scale that particular technology can achieve for us to get our money back and to take that decision. So the TAM is basically the total addressable market for that technology. And the last T is the traction. This is where taking an angel fund or getting into an incubator accelerator or directly coming to us is decided. Uh, and I would say to some extent the team as well. So traction is basically, what is the revenues of the company, or how many farmers are they doing pilots with? Is the technology ready, or is it a prototype, and so on and so forth. Again, there is no hard and fast rule in terms of how we define our traction for different companies, but it is a very case to case basis. For example, Tartans is a company where we made our investment when the technology was at a prototype stage. It was pre-revenue, but we made our investment. Similarly, in Dehat, we made our investment when the company was doing a few crores of GMVs in terms of their sales. So it's on a very case-to-case basis. But when we suggest companies to go to a accelerator or to raise an angel round and uh, uh, get more traction, or be more uh, uh, whole as a company before coming to us, is specifically in two things. One is the team to build a better. If there is a solo founder, we ask the person to make a team and then come to us. In terms of traction, if we feel that the company is way too early, they're just spoken with 5 customers, 10 customers, then we ask them to raise some money and go out into the market, and come to us. If we see the technology is very early right now, and it is not properly proven, if the tests have not happened properly, then we ask them to spend some more time, get some angel money, and come back to us. But it's very fluid, it's very flexible, is what I can say. We have taken very early bets. We have asked companies to go to the angel investors and accelerators and then come to us. We have ourselves recommended them to a few of the accelerators, incubators out there. But yeah, that is what it is. But it's very flexible, as I said.
Thank you very much, sir. I have two follow-up questions. The first question would be, so nowadays with more than at least 20-30% of startups are into food processing and consumer segment. So they are not directly qualified as agri or directly farmer related activities, but
Yeah.
most are it comprises of most of them, some at least 50 to 40% is directly connected to agri-tech, but 30 to 40% we are having food processing and consumer tech. What is
Yeah.
your view and your take on this, sir?
So the most important to sort of remember or to know here is there are different kinds of capitals available for a company. Venture capital is not the only form of capital. You have debt, you have equity, which is venture capital, and then when the company grows, there is private equity and so on and so forth. Now, venture capital typically likes asset light model, right? When you have a technology which can scale really fast, is what VCs look for. Or there is a larger consumer play where you know that you even if you make some manufacturing unit, or typically we like companies who outsource their manufacturing and try to go as lean as possible initially, and then you have product which uh, uh, can just consumers would just go out into the market and be and buy the product in bulk, right? The CPG and packaged goods, if we say, then there is a more of a branding play in there, and that is where many of the VCs, the consumer goods VCs like Fireside and DSG and all, they work, right? So that is how VCs work, and when we say the VC kind of a money, it is as I typically emulate Mark here. So he says that VC money is like a jet fuel. You if you put jet fuel in a jet, it flies. If you put jet fuel in a car, it will blow the car up. If you put jet fuel in a Ferrari, it will also blow the Ferrari up. So the founders need to figure out, what is the scale potential of the company, how fast that company can scale, and if VC is the right mode of capital for them or not, right form of capital for them or not. Typically what we have seen in the food processing space, uh, many people reach out to us, they do capex investment, and then they try to do a kind of B2B kind of sales, and then slowly run their company and make it big. There are multiple such companies who are listed in the stock market right now who have not raised a single penny from VC. Companies like Food Senins and so on and so forth, and they are massive businesses in their own capacity, right? But might not be a very good VC bet, because a VC typically looks for exponential growth in the 7 to 10 years that they are invested in the company. So that misalignment in how the management of the company is thinking about how to grow their company, and the VC how they think the company should grow, that is where the farmers need to figure out what is the best form of capital. Um, so yeah, like fruit processing companies, if they are
Hello?
going, yeah.
Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Go ahead with your question, sir. Meanwhile, Mr. Abhilash can continue with this explanation. Thank you.
Yeah, that was it essentially. So I was just saying that there is a food processing company that we looked at. It's called Go Desi. I'll just take some names here. So they did not make their own manufacturing asset, but they collaborated with a lot of small scale manufacturing units, at rural level, and they are taking the help of the rural people to do the manufacturing of various interesting products that they were making, and then they were packaging it and selling it directly to the consumers through Amazon and Flipkart. That's a very nice business, and that's a VC kind of a business where you know that your manufacturing is very light, and the money that you take from the VC can provide you exponential growth if you do the right kind of marketing and branding around it. Similarly, there are companies like Innovation, which is out there, a company which is local to Hyderabad, our food. Those kind of companies are VC kind of investment, where you are sort of doing the shared economy kind of a model in manufacturing, and then there is a potential for the company to scale up really, really fast. But if you are a company who are making your putting up your own manufacturing center and then trying to manufacture something and then trying to take a market, it's not a VC kind of a game as such, but it needs a different kind of a capital to grow that kind of a company. So that is what will be my take. Uh, Nothing good, nothing bad in that. It's just the kind of capital and the kind of company that matching has to happen properly.
Okay, thank you, sir. Any questions from participants?
Sir, I have a doubt. Yeah. Sir, can I continue?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please, sir.
Yeah, my doubt is there are many startups coming up which are using hydroponics, where the yield is 50% higher than conventional farming, like Urban Kisan. At the same time, like as Abhilash sir told, the present yield in India is sufficient, and we don't need extra produce. So if I start a company like with hydroponics, will I be able to sustain in this market now?
There's a big question that is going on everywhere, and what we are seeing is that. So, as I said, in the greenhouses, typically, the horticulture crops are grown, and some of the very the greens like lettuces and so on and so forth, mostly that is how the horticulture sector, that is how the hydroponic sector has started. But now we are seeing more and more spinach and tomatoes and those kind of crops are also the mainstream crops are also growing in these areas. And as I said, what we are seeing now is that the farmers nearby to the production centers are more inclined to grow these crops, and the farmers in the hinterlands are changing into more plantation crops. Now, this is still in the middle of a flux, but definitely these kind of infrastructure will not be used for growing any conventional crops like cereals and stuff, where majority of these production related issues are there. Or, for example, potato, where or onion for that matter, where the supply is so high that we are not able to consume that in India. Uh, and there is a larger potential of all the dynamics of market linkages playing into the picture. But in horticulture, if horticulture crops are grown in polyhouses, when you know that the market is nearby, I think that is still a very nascent market and it has not been captured fully. So, and if you and thanks for asking this question. If you see earlier, like I would say 1 year before, there were a few companies who were coming up with spinach grown in an horticulture, grown in a polyhouse environment, and they were trying to get more money from asking more money from the consumers by providing the freshness and packaged produce and so on and so forth. But it ultimately did not work because the consumers typically level.
Mr. Abhilash, your audio is breaking. Kindly check your connection.
I'm so sorry. Is it audible now?
Yes, sir. It is audible right now, sir.
Okay. Yeah. So what I was saying is that a few months before, about 1.5 years before, when these kind of crops, the horticulture crops, were started growing in a hydroponic facility, the some of the companies, they started reaching out to the end consumers with a packaged produce, packaged horticulture produce, spinach and the regular stuff, with charging some higher amount from the farmers, with the value add of the freshness and a brand and so on and so forth. But ultimately, what we realized that the customers at the end of the day, basically the people who provide the demand, they create a level playing field for everyone. And the market forces came into play, and ultimately those kind of companies, they were not able to generate much uh, revenues from what they were growing. And we now see that the companies who are into hydroponics, for example, Urban Kisan, they are growing a bunch of general crops as well, like tomato and stuff, and they are figuring way out internally to how to reduce their cost of cultivation so that they're able to manage the price that a normal kirana who is sourcing from the mandi, who in turn is sourcing from the farmers, is able to beat their price or provide at the same price, and then provide the value add of freshness and good looking vegetables to the farmers. So all those things are happening. Market link, the whole market typically defines how which crop is going to get sold at what price point and so on and so forth.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Please go ahead, sir.
Yeah, sir. So good morning to all. This is Naganagowda calling from Eco Agripreneurs Private Limited. Actually, we are supported by Manes. So we are into production and marketing
Mr.
for
Naganagowda, your audio.
free rice in 5,000 acres. So we have seen so far is, so we have done small market survey. There is an acceptance by consumers also because we are providing a pesticide residue free rice. So to make it happen in a big scale, we need huge investments, especially for procuring and marketing of rice, which needs a lot of capital. So my sincere request to both the resource persons is, how do you feel about this project as such?
Sorry, sir, if Ratnakar wants to take that question because I could not hear properly.
Even same here, Abhilash, even same here. Sir, what is that you're doing on 5 acres of land? You're creating some kind of paddy crop with low, this thing, something?
Sir, so I'd like to reiterate again. So we are
Yeah.
into production of pesticide residue-free rice, which is healthy rice, unlike the normal rice, wherein for the farmers use lot of extremely hazardous pesticides. The residues will remain in the in the rice, and they are not healthy, and they cannot be exported also to EU. So we are producing 100% EU compliant rice. So we have done lot of research. This is our fourth year. So started from 2 acres, and now in the last year we could produce it on 2,000 acres. We have the capacity to expand it to 5,000 acres. So expanding production capacity is not a problem for us. So we have also done a small market survey, and we have recently launched our brand Eco Rice into the market. So the consumers are happy because they are getting pesticide residue free. So our worry is, so being a startup, we do not have sufficient funds to procure so much of paddy, process it, and further market it. So, because you have a lot of experience working with startups like us, so how viable do you think our project is, and whether VCs or investors can support such initiatives? Thanks.
Yeah, yeah. So, is there any technology? Is there something you're doing by procuring and processing it? Something is there. Otherwise, if there is no technology, it's a simple process. You procured equipment and you're buying paddy, you're processing and selling in the market.
Mm.
Then for VCs or angel network, it is very difficult to manage until unless you come with a compelling option that we have a differentiator in the market which nobody has. Otherwise, it becomes like a run of mill project for us. How do we fund and how do we get it? See, at the end of the day, for VCs, how do you create value and how do you give an exit for them? That's a
Yeah.
key thing for us actually. Otherwise, we can look for some debt from agri cooperative societies who can fund you and take it to the next level because they are very keen. As
Mm.
Abhilash said, in case of Hyderabad-based startup, our food is able to procure loans for the farmers from cooperative banks, Telangana Cooperative, Andhra Cooperative Bank, and regional rural banks are willing to fund, and he's able to
Mm.
grow his business. That's where I see the possibility for your growth will be there. We invest
Hello.
in technology, innovation, and growth until unless Abhilash has
Hello,
something else.
hello, sir. Can I? Hello.
Yeah, yeah, go ahead.
Sir, I have
Right, sir.
so 45 raise, sir. 45 raise. Can I? Is that project viable, sir? Fortification of rice with vitamin and all. Hello.
Now for rice, in what methodology you are going to certify, sir?
So we'll take the normal procure the rice, and then we will be fortifying with the vitamins and all, calcium vitamins and all.
Okay.
So I just like to build on to what Ratnakar had just said. You know, if you're fortifying the rice, is there some technology or some IP in the fortification? If it is just normal, vitamin, calcium, vitamin C fortified rice is now coming up. All the state governments are doing it. It's it can be a very good business. We are not debating that, but the VC kind of a game is very different. We need that technology differentiation for us to get that edge. If tomorrow any other company is coming up with similar kind of fortification and doing fortification of rice, can we defend it? And if you're saying yes, we can defend it, then happy to look at it. If there is no technology differentiation, if it is a me too product, uh, and A lot of times we also invest in companies who are very good at scaling. Execution also is very important, but core technology companies, that USP is very important.
Okay, so that means I have to fortify it with some new thing which no one is doing.
12:30. Something that will give a significant edge to your company,
Okay,
Chairman, if you are asking that
okay,
question.
okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
So, so Mr. Abhilash, this is Naganagowda again. I have small update about this eco race. You were asking about the unique selling point. So here the unique selling point is pesticide residue free. So in India, the concept is fairly new. We have few brands, but their reach is not much.
Sir, multiple people are doing it right now. Not demeaning or anything, but 24
Yeah,
Matra, a
yeah.
lot of organic farming brands have now come up. See, what you are doing is absolutely fantastic. It's, as I said earlier, that what is your scale potential? We even Ratnagar will also agree with me here that we cannot invest in companies who grow acre by acre and then keep on growing rice. First year 10 acres, next year 20 acres, third year 100 acres, and so on and so forth. We will invest in technologies which can be deployed in 100 acres in 1 year, 10,000 acres in the next year, 100,000 acres in the next year, and so on and so forth. If you your method of production, or if there is some unique IP in it, right, in terms of advisory and stuff for cereal farmers, uh,
Hmm.
which is very unique to you. And rather than growing the crop by yourself, if you can figure out a way in which you can ask all the rice farmers in India to grow crop, using that methodology, and you get a significant traction. Farmers are reducing their cost of cultivation significantly through that, and using that, if you're scaling up really quickly, that is something that could be interesting.
So thanks for your feedback. Again, few updates. See, one thing is we do not have IP, but our way of production is unique. So probably we'll be trying to find it out. How can we so like something we can call it as IP. So the second thing is scalability. So as you said, from 100 acres to 5,000 acres, it is quite possible from our side. Probably we'll discuss maybe later. If you have any inputs, you can please suggest.
Hello.
Yes, sir. If you are in Hyderabad, you can meet us at Hyderabad Angels office. We're connected here. We can
Okay.
discuss further.
Okay. Thank you.
Hello.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hello, Ratnagar sir.
Go ahead, sir.
Yeah.
I just wanted to know, like, if we are starting an operation in UAE, okay, by starting as a like a taking a trade license, we are all already having a company back in India. So, if for such initiations, we will be getting any angel funding where the operations is in UAE.
Yes, we are funding companies across the world. There is no restriction that it should be in India only. But as long as the business operations are in India and you also have a global scale, we would like to invest.
Okay, because currently for the past 3 years we were trying for high-tech farming and we are doing the market research. Now we have leased farm in UAE and we are doing the farming for vegetables and microgreens. Okay, so the India company we started for the export of food products also, innovative food products. So such things also I can keep in touch with you guys, isn't it?
Yes, you can reach out to us.
Okay, your contact details and email address, everything will be provided at the chat now.
We can communicate that to the audience, sir. That shouldn't be a problem.
Okay, okay, thank you.
And for the respective speakers, is there any specific areas which you're catering, like focus areas, sir?
I think see, one of the key thing we look at is, are they having innovative procedures, whether they were able to take patent. Which we are looking at it. And with regard to agri-startups, we prefer to have the business operations in India because India is the focus area. We have more than 130 crores of consumers in India. That's where we see there is a huge potential here itself. But somebody has global aspirations, definitely we would like to look at them actually. It is nothing specific that he should be in India only, but we would like to see the major part of revenue coming from India.
likewise for us as well. We are an India-focused investor, but the company, the team, everything should be in India. But very recently we have started thinking about India plus plus, and we are seeing that the way India is developing is that the startups are seeing India as a test bed, making technologies here and then taking it globally. And that is what we are also pushing all our companies to do now. So
Okay, sir. My question actually was regarding the agri and allied sectors, sir. So, agri and allied sectors, so aquaculture or all the other things, animal husbandry, dairy. So, are you catering to each and everything or anything specific?
yes,
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. That answers the question for a couple of audience. Any other questions? Audience can come up and please ask the questions.
Thank you all. Thank you all.
Okay, sir. I think we're done with the questions and Manage CIA thanks all the speakers as well as the audience for their thought-provoking sessions. And we shall meet you back on December 5th on the topic financial management during crisis. Thank you.
thank you very much, everyone.